There are a ton of iceberg videos on the internet, ranging from icebergs on the video game Mario to microwaves in Guitar Hero. So I decided to do one for 99 Nights in the Forest. The video will be going from topics that have been talked a lot to topics that are not exactly discussed a lot. So without further ado, let us dive deep into the iceberg. In 99 Nights in the Forest, there are a ton of ranger logs scattered around the map. One of the logs say, "Something very strange has been going on in the park." This was a confusing log for some people as they first analyzed it as the whole game setting to be at a park and not a forest. But the game's literally called 99 Nights in the Forest, so I don't know how hard knowing where the location could be. All the other logs and evidences indicate it's a forest, therefore we can conclude this place to be a forest. The company behind this forest is talking about the logo you can spot throughout the game multiple times. This logo spans across some of the more important areas of the game and is theorized to be the main company that had a hand in animal testing and making supernatural beings. Survive a Week in the Woods is the original inspiration for 99 Nights in the Forest, which was what I saw from the Flamingo video.
This game is about protecting kids? Is that even allowed?
The game shares some similarities, such as the witch in the woods being the Pelt trader and retreating back to your campfire during nighttime. The entity is pretty darn scary, and the game gives you a sanity meter when you go into caves. Overall, a pretty solid game. I do kind of recommend you try it yourself. Breakin 1 and 2 are both developed by Cracky, who is a developer of 99 Nights in the Forest. The game itself is like the movie Purge, where enemies will try to break into your house and threaten you. Except in Breakin, big buff men in suits will try to take down kids. No! But lore-wise, there is no connection. The poof looks something like this. Suddenly, an animal teleports either closer to you or further from you. There is no explanation for this, and is just another mystery. The deer was apparent theory is based on the speculation from the true event from 2023 where 4 kids survived a plane crash with their mother. In this game, the mother was supposedly experimented and turned into the deer monster, but to be honest, the evidence is just not there. The cultist machines mentioned here are the 3 machines known as the respawn capsule, temporal accelerometer, and finally, the weather machine. The biggest reason they are called cultist machines are because all of them need cultist gems, which can be found after defeating cultists. In addition, there are 2 types of scrap called the cultist's experiment and the cultist prototype, leading me to believe that these 3 machines were something the cultists were constantly testing to build. Whispers are referring to the cultists whispering in 99 Nights in the Forest.
I'm looking for,
Although you cannot make out a word from it, it does indicate that they have intelligence to a degree. This refers to the pentagram in 99 Nights in the Forest. Obviously, this is a summoning pentagram. But what were they trying to summon? When looking at it carefully, they failed to fully make a blood circle indicating that they thankfully failed to summon this entity. There are a ton of scraps in the game, and some of them are from vehicles. These include the tire and the old engine. There is also an airplane that seemingly crashed down and a helipad indicating the existence of vehicles before the forest became haunted. Keeping this extremely brief, the Pelt trader is theorized to come from the snow biome. This is due to the hat that looks identical to one of the other hats to keep warmth, and also due to the Pelt trader themselves needing animal pelts, probably to keep themselves from being too cold. Now we're diving into more deeper topics. The Lumberjack was abducted by aliens, which was evident from the update poster a few months ago. But what happened after that? Some believe the Lumberjack was turned into the cyborg. This is due to a single reason, which is how both of them are holding the item on the same right hand. Since cyborgs mean a fictional or hypothetical person whose physical abilities are extended beyond normal human limitations by mechanical elements built into the body. This is quite a plausible theory. The owl is an ancient being that existed for a long time. This is highlighted through the temple that was built for it, which doesn't have any modern mechanics at all. But then this raises the question about the deer. Was the deer also an ancient being too? This can be backed up by the broken cage we talked about. If the deer was to be some kind of experiment to have been tested on, the cage should have been a normal human size. However, the cage we see is already a huge size, meaning the scientists had a cage ready to capture and lock the deer. Then how did it get out, you would ask? I believe it got out when it became hungry, running on a full rampage and tearing anything in its path, which I can absolutely relate on. Alpha wolves are made through cultists' tests. This is easily proved when you go over to the prison location where you can see syringes on the ground along with a dead wolf corpse, indicating that while some wolves were successful in becoming an alpha wolf, some failed to do so. The Richman theory is based off of a theory that the Stronghold was actually a mining headquarters, and the mines we can see as locations are places where the workers used to mine diamonds. This theory does include the fact that cultist gems were the main reason for people going crazy, but there isn't an absolute concrete evidence to base this fact off, so it is sealed off as a broad theory for now. The theory is simple. The person you see right at the start is the richman. Why would you need a diamond salesman when you could simply press the button on the left-right corner? Why would a person be even willing to sell diamonds somewhere right outside a dangerous place? The theory exists, but has no evidence to exactly prove this point. Magic exists in this world. This includes the fairy that flies around and points you towards loot through the use of flowers, the frog king that takes obvious reference from the frog prince, and finally the forest gems. Magic does exist in this world as a side plot to this whole game, but doesn't play a main part. This theory surrounds the fact that the deer broke the cage because it became hungry. But before it broke the cage, it was normally very docile and was fed a human every time it became hungry. This would be through the use of graves, which can be found all around the place with coal in them. Coal only forms in a few million years, so this coal wouldn't make sense normally. Here goes. The crafting table, when we first see it, has blueprints and a wrench. The theory states that the wrench is something that the scavenger holds, and the blueprints are probably from the blacksmith, meaning those two were the owners of this campfire before they both got caught by the deer. That's it, though. Not a solid evidence on it. The video was short. Normally a 30-minute video was planned, but I had to cut them out due to timing. But if you do want an in-depth iceberg video that spans every single theory and myth, just tell me in the comments. Goodbye and have a great day.